Hi everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the Lavender Scare, which is a lesser known topic in history, but it's deeply significant to America as a whole. It was a time when LGBTQ individuals were targeted and fired from government jobs. We're also going to focus on an activist. His name is Frank Kameny. He refused to stay silent and became one of the first to fight back. Our goal is to uncover how basic rights were denied, how they were courageously fought for, and the responsibilities that came with claiming them. I'm going to first start by giving some historical context. This all started back in the Cold War era, like the 1950s. America was super anxious about the spread of communism, and this led to what's known as the Red Scare. Basically, if people thought you were a communist, your life could be ruined, you'd be investigated, fired, and blacklisted from places. While this was all happening, the government was also targeting LGBTQ plus people, especially gay men and lesbians working in federal jobs. They were seen as security risks because they could be easily blackmailed. In 1953, President Eisenhower signed Executive Order 10450, which banned anyone considered a sexual pervert, which is what homosexuals were considered at the time, from working federal jobs. This led to thousands of people being investigated, violated, interrogated, and fired from their jobs just for being gay. Senator Joseph McCarthy, one of the main figures of this era, who was also a big figure in the Red Scare, once said, "The pervert is easy to prey to the blackmailer." As a result, from the Lavender Scare, over 5,000 federal employees lost their jobs, and suicide, fear, and isolation were common outcomes from people who got fired. I also want to add that in general, America was very homophobic during this time. Homosexuality was seen as a mental illness and was diagnosed. You could be diagnosed with homosexuality and it would be in the category of mental illnesses. One of the first people to stand up against the Lavender Scare was Frank Kameny. He was a Harvard-trained astrophysicist, a World War II veteran, and was super qualified for his job with the U.S. Army Map Service. But in 1957, he was fired, not for anything wrong, but for simply being gay. Kameny decided to fight for what was right. He knew he was qualified for this job and deserved to have the job that he wanted. He decided to take his case all the way to the Supreme Court. And even though he lost, it was one of the very first legal challenges to anti-gay discrimination in the USA, making it historical. Kameny was one of the first to clearly say that being gay is not a threat to national security. It's a civil rights issue. In his words, this is not about national security, it's about civil rights. He refused to be targeted and proudly declared himself a homosexual American citizen. In 1961, Frank Kameny founded the Madison Society of Washington, D.C., one of the first gay rights organizations in the country. It became a hub for LGBTQ activism at the time, when just being openly gay was risk. It also provided a safe space for homosexuals. He organized some of the first ever LGBTQ protests in the United States. He used picketing outside places like the White House, the State Department, even the Pentagon. Protesters had to dress respectfully, suits, ties, dresses, to show the world that being gay didn't mean deserving less rights. Then, in 1971, Kameny made history again. He became the first openly gay person to testify before Congress. He demanded that homosexuals deserve equal treatment under the law. And then, in 1973, he helped write DC's Human Rights Act of 1973, which banned discrimination based on sexual orientation. That same year, in 1973, he played a key role in convincing and pressuring the American Psychiatric Association to stop classifying homosexuality as a mental illness. This was a massive win for LGBTQ+. He also created the term "gay is good," which is still used today. And then, in 1975, the federal government stopped banning homosexuals from federal jobs. And the military created the term "don't ask, don't tell" policy. One of the biggest accomplishments for Frank Kameny and the people that were also fighting against the Lavender Scare was in 2017 when the U.S. State Department issued a formal apology to the LGBTQ employees who had been wrongly fired during the Lavender Scare. These rights came with responsibilities. Kameny and others made it clear, the fight doesn't end once you win something. You have to stay engaged, vote, speak out, and make sure these rights aren't taken away. Kameny once said, but they will only stay that way if we continue to push. Kameny didn't just fight for his own job. He helped build the foundation for the entire LGBTQ rights movement. His courage inspired generations of activists who kept pushing louder and bolder for equality in all parts of life, from the military to marriage to healthcare. He helped shift both public opinion and legal systems. What once seemed impossible, like openly serving in the military or winning legal protections, became the reality because people like Kameny refused to back down. But the fight is not over. Discrimination still exists, and LGBTQ people still face challenges in the workplace, in healthcare, in the military, and in everyday life. This progress we've made needs to be protected, and that means staying active, aware, and united. One of Kameny's most notable quotes is, "If we differ, there will be war, and I tend not to lose my wars." His determination and fire still lives on in the movements we see today. Frank Kameny's story isn't just history, it's a reminder of what it takes to make real changes. He stood up when it was dangerous, spoke out when most people stayed silent, and refused to accept second-class citizenship. From the Lavender Scare to the courtroom to the picket lines, Kameny helped turn shame into pride. But like he said, those rights only last if we keep pushing. So the responsibility is now ours, to speak up, to stay involved, and to keep fighting for a future where everyone is treated equally. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something.